So this is one of the older quilts, very old, where they've used men's shirtings and on that side, and there's woolen suit fabrics on this side. Yeah, one of the very old original patchwork ideas of sewing scraps together to make a whole cloth and make it useful. So this has had a very hard life. Show all the types of fabric that used to be. So if you've got anyone into historical, what's reproduction type things, they can go to this and know that this is what used to be. Quilting fabrics are usually very tightly woven fabrics, so that batting, you have 3 layers, the back, the batting and the quilt top, and you don't want your batting to come through, so the quilting fabric, yes, usually is very, very tight woven and high quality. So you can see all these little fabrics here. They've been, these days, they're specially purchased as
this took my eye.
Fabrics, because this is we don't often have.
My name's Diane, and these quilts remind me of the quilts that my mother used to make when I was a young girl. My mother used to be a seamstress, and she worked for a lot of the big Jewish firms, and in those days they used to work at home. And she had this great big power machine, and it was in one of the bedrooms, and what she used to do was she used to make quilts, and she used to make it out of all the odd bits of material from my dresses and from my sister's dresses, and even from some of the material that was left over from the costumes that used to be made in those days. And also she used to make it out of the boys' trousers, bits of what was left of the grey trousers, and there was a bit of that, and there was a bit of my dress and a bit of my sister's dress and a bit of everything, even my grandmother's dresses, and some of those had those very old, very tiny little wee sort of rosettes on them and that sort of thing. And recently I've just done a trip to Australia, and my sister and I got the quilt out, and we went over and we tried to remember all the different bits, and it was absolutely wonderful because there were dresses there that were really nice. My mother was really, really good, and it was just magnificent to go over those old memories. And these quilts are really nothing like my mother's. My mother was, making homemade ones, and they weren't very professional, but they had meaning because they were part of the family, and it was all interwoven, and there was a story behind each dress as well, because it was a dress I wore to St. Francis, to the dancers, or the Empress, or the Sheridan, as it was in those days. And my sister, she had dresses that she wore when she went out with her first boyfriend.
Quilt isn't a tight geometric pieced quilt, it's a nice free motion landscapey quilt. So the person has cut the shapes they want and stuck them onto the background fabrics, stuck it all together and stitched really, really tightly over to enhance their overall design. Very beautiful quilt by Claire Smith, very well known New Zealand quilter. This is a quilt made entirely of wool fabrics, and it's in the Amish style, and it's quilted quite heavily with fixed in on a computerised machine.
Nearly everything for sale.
by one of New Zealand's best known hand quilters. And she has sewn the patches together with a machine, but all the quilting the 3 layers together has all been by hand. And you'll see, to tell a hand quilted quilt, you'll see it's a little running stitch, so the thread goes in the fabric, out of the fabric, in, out, in, out. Whereas a machine quilted piece will have one row of thread on the top, continuous, and one row of thread on the bottom. But these have beautiful soft feel. Right, this one here, we're going to the other extreme. This is quilted on a computerised machine. So the design has been digitised, and the computer can fit any particular design to, or a design to any particular size. This quilt's made entirely from batik fabric in Indonesia. So it's all been hand dyed by the ladies there with resist techniques, and the colours are usually quite bright and they make wonderful blended soft quilts. This quilt shows quite nicely. This is what we call piecework, where the individual shapes are quite geometric and sewn together, and these ones are cut with soft edges and appliqued on top with a buttonhole stitch. So it's a lovely combination of both techniques.